on your TV. It's Wednesday, April 22nd, and I'm Jessica Kading. The region is currently reporting that there have been 394 confirmed cases of COVID-19 within Halton and an additional 53 probable cases for a combined total of 447 to date. There have been outbreaks declared in 10 local long-term care and retirement homes, as well as Joseph Brant Hospital and Central West Special Developmental Services Group Home. 3 of those outbreaks have been declared over. For a complete breakdown of where these outbreaks have occurred and how many patients have been affected, please visit halton.ca. 9 emergency vehicles and 30 personnel were on the scene of a commercial warehouse fire last night at Appleby and Fairview. The blaze lasted for 6 hours in the Burlington warehouse storage area and caused an estimated $7 million worth of damage. Fortunately, there were no injuries. The suspected cause of the fire was combustibles stored too close to a heat source. Support for students was the focus of today's announcement by our Prime Minister. MP for Oakville North-Burlington Pam Damoff took some time to speak with us and share those details.
It was an exciting announcement today. Probably the number one thing I've heard is from young people and students who said, we're not eligible for the Canada Emergency Response Benefit, and how can I access these programs that you're rolling out to support us? So today, the Prime Minister announced a $9 billion support program for students, post-secondary students and recent grads. So there's going to be a Canada Emergency Student Benefit that will be $1,250 for eligible students. And if you're a student living with a disability, or if you're caring for someone, that goes up to $1,750. And similar to the Canada Emergency Response Benefit, or the CERB as it's called, you are still allowed to make up to $1,000 over and above that. So if you've got a part-time job, but we know students are really having a hard time finding work for this summer. So this will fill that gap. We've also introduced something that's really cool. It's going to be called the Canada Student Service Grant. So it will allow students to get volunteer opportunities to support organizations who are dealing with COVID-19 and get up to $5,000 for their volunteer work from the government. So, you know, it was something that I was actually advocating for, sort of like a service corps, you know, where students can go out and get experience and be paid to do that. And then we're doubling the Canada Students Grants, which will be up to $6,000. So, you know, things that will help students with their tuition, right, when they go back to school in September. The Canada Student Loans Program is being increased. There's going to be an additional $75 million for Indigenous students. And then we're also, for students who are research fellows, who have research scholarships, we're going to be extending the expiry on those and also supplementing existing federal research grants. So all in all, a really great announcement for students today. We do have to pass legislation in order to implement this new benefit, but I think you know, young people across the country will be really happy with this announcement today.
It's the 50th anniversary of Earth Day today, first declared in 1970. Normally, there's all kinds of group events, gatherings, and cleanups to mark the occasion, but with COVID-19 and the physical distancing measures in place, Earth Day will have to be celebrated differently this year. The Halton Environmental Network invites you to participate in their Netflix screening party tonight at 8 o'clock. They will be watching The Biggest Little Farm. For more information and details on how you can join in, visit Halton Environmental Network on Facebook. Burlington Green also has a bunch of calls to action you can participate in by visiting burlingtongreen.org. All municipalities in Halton have already declared climate emergencies, but on this Earth Day, we can all take pause to recognize the break we've given the Earth these past weeks due to COVID-19. In some cities, the carbon emissions have dropped over 40%. In Toronto, the CO2 is down 21%, according to new data released by Geotab. This chart compares CO2 emissions before March 15th in blue and after, with COVID-19 stay-at-home messaging in place, in green. The Ontario government announced extra steps they're taking to further protect long-term care homes. We spoke with Wellington-Halton Hills MPP Ted Arnott earlier this afternoon to get more details on that announcement.
They focused again on the long-term care homes in the province and the need to take greater action to protect the residents and the staff of our long-term care homes, and talked about the various steps that they're taking, including asking for assistance from Canadian Forces. Long-term care is important in all the ridings in the province, including Wellington-Halton Hills, and we have a number of very fine long-term care homes in our riding, and I've always taken an interest in that issue and tried to help and support any way I can. But the Premier's also acknowledged that there are some cracks in our long-term care system, and those cracks have been exposed in a significant way in recent weeks. And we need to do all that we can to protect all the residents in our long-term care homes, as well as the residents of our retirement and rest homes too, and the staff. I think the government is in fact making its best effort to bring in whatever resources are available and to acquire whatever resources are needed. They're even redeploying some staff from hospitals. The expected surge, or I guess the worst case scenario in terms of the surge of COVID-19 patients that were expected in our hospitals and our ICUs hasn't yet materialized, and let's hope it doesn't. We obviously have to do everything we can. We can't let down our guard. If we are indeed getting close to the plateau in terms of the number of new cases on a daily basis, more or less stabilizing, that's obviously encouraging news, but it's not to suggest that we're anyways out of the woods as of yet. And we're going to have to continue to be vigilant with the public health, with adhering to the public health advice.
The charitable sector, like many others, is taking a significant financial hit due to the COVID-19 pandemic. To make sure the charities most in need in Oakville receive the support they need during this time, the Oakville Community Foundation has created the Oakville Resiliency Fund. A local Oakville family physician wants to inspire others in the community to donate and has recently pledged $200,000 in support of food relief efforts within the town. If you're willing and able to donate as well, you can do so by visiting theocf.ca and clicking on the Oakville Resiliency Fund. Hundreds of residents across Halton are having a hard time making ends meet, especially as we continue with physical distancing restrictions and so many are out of work. Here's a look at a local organization that is continuing their work in an effort to make sure families have food on the table.
As a community, it's very nice that everybody help each other.
This is Maria Skripnik, an Oakville resident relieved to get groceries this week from Frontline Outreach, an organization that helps connect residents on social assistance with resources they may need. And in this case, it's food. Maria says she relies on this assistance in order to make ends meet.
I am a dental assistant, okay? I've been without work almost for 2 months. Our dental office is closed right now. We don't know when we're gonna go back to work. So in my situation, I live in this community housing for 20 years, single mom, and any kind of help is very helpful.
Frontline Outreach does deliveries across Halton, so residents have groceries every week. CEO Ron Shantz says the COVID-19 situation has not stopped them from their important work.
For the last 10 years, we've been a catalyst for people that live in social housing to connect to resources beyond themselves. So we work with a lot of local churches, strong partnership with Food for Life, because if you feed people, they will come. And if they come, you can build relationships, and that's our tag. It's all about relationships. So at such a time like this, we have the capacity, because we've got a trailer, to deliver door to door to families that are in isolation. And so that kind of helps the cause of keeping people safe at home, but the food has come to them. And again, partnering with Food for Life and their partners that supply the food, we're really grateful.
Food for Life is a food recovery program sourcing, sorting, and sharing fresh food across Halton. Executive Director Graham Hill says they have been a long-time partner with Frontline Outreach.
During normal times, when there's no pandemic, we're already out there serving in partnership with others to make sure people have access to good food. This was just a natural extension. We were able to actually continue these partnerships and actually enhance them to figure out ways to get food to the most vulnerable during this critical time. And partnerships like Frontline Outreach are great.
Frontline Outreach makes about 400 deliveries a week, work that has not gone unnoticed by a very grateful Maria.
I just want to say thank you very much to every single one out there who make sure that things happen and help people in need like us.
Reporting for Halton News, I'm Melissa Candelaria.
We have previously reported on the littering of personal protective equipment all over the Halton region, and the town of Halton Hills would like to remind residents that there is already a bylaw in place against littering. Doing so can subject you to a fine of $200. The littering of masks and gloves is of particular concern due to the health hazards this litter is posing. If you see someone littering personal protective equipment in Halton, you can call the COVID-19 hotline to report them at 905-825-4722. The Oakville Chamber of Commerce hosted a webinar from our Your TV studio today with updates on the COVID-19 crisis. Guests were Minister Vic Fedeli, Oakville North-Burlington MPP Effie Triantafilopoulos, and Oakville MPP Stephen Crawford. Here's a look at MPP Crawford's comments on how businesses are adapting in the crisis.
Example is Snapped Magazine here in Oakville. So they typically are an Oakville publication that runs and takes pictures through all the community events that we have here in Oakville in a given month. And the publications are picked up at all the retail locations. Well, two things. There's been very few events organized, obviously, none in Oakville over the past month. So it's hard to take pictures at events that aren't existing. And secondly, their retail locations are primarily closed. So that organization's been tremendously affected, yet they have survived and adapted to the world we're in today. So what they've done, they outreach to their advertisers and asked us, this is what we're thinking of doing. So what they're doing is they want pictures from community members, from MPPs, from business people, how they're working and adapting at home, how their kids are going to school. And they're actually dropping these in mailboxes in certain postal codes so they can keep their advertising and their publication going. So they've adapted to the world that we're in today.
You can watch the Oakville Chamber's webinar in its entirety tomorrow at 11 a.m. right here on Your TV or online at yourtv.tv. We do need to take a short break now, but we'll be back to discuss the stages of grief we're all going through in one way or another due to the COVID-19 crisis. Stay with us. Welcome back to Halton News. Grief affects us all differently, and there are all different stages of grief. Local psychiatrist Dr. Bhattacharya explains that many of us are experiencing grief during this COVID-19 crisis and says we need to give each other space and understanding to grieve in our own ways.
I want to talk about grief. We all know what grief is because it's a common part of our culture. We lose people, we see people in stress, but we're also grieving other things. We're grieving our lifestyle. We're grieving our friends not being as close to us. A lot of people are grieving their jobs, the security of their grief. Is we're a society awash in grief now, and different people are in different levels or different intensities of their grief as well. But the point I'm trying to say is that if we can get on top of this, ahead of it, understand how to manage grief when it inevitably comes up. So Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross was the person that wrote the seminal book on grief. So the point of this slide here is to very briefly talk about the different stages of grief. The first stage of grief is denial. And when this first started, we were traveling in India at the time. We thought this is not going to happen. We're going to be fine. And luckily we got back fine. But the denial is very, very common because you just don't believe it's going to happen. Like that person that's told you need to evacuate your house. They live on the beach. A tsunami's been coming in, or a hurricane, they stay and they get hit. So denial is very, very common. Once they do get hit, though, and this is what we've all been hit by the pandemic, anger is usually, and anger is problematic because that's when people get in each other's faces. That's when they start to feel like, you don't know what I'm going through. Well, you don't know what I'm going through. And next, there's an angry diatribe that's happening. People will get aggressive with each other. Once that phase can sometimes soften, then the bargaining happens. look, if you do this for me, I'll do that for you. How about we just do half of this? And this is a bit of a problem with half measures that don't happen in pandemics. With an infectious agent, we need to do everything completely, not halfway. And that's sometimes where the bargaining issue can come into trouble. After that is a phase of depression, withdrawal, moving away from the actual trauma itself and the worries that people have, and maybe shutting down a little bit. Hopefully after that we can get acceptance. Now the reason why this is important is that people grieve differently in different ways and in different times. So imagine 5 people living in a house. They're all grieving. One might be in denial still, and the other one might be angry. The other one might be trying to bargain, and somebody might be in depression. Maybe no one's in acceptance yet. They're all in a very different space. That can cause a great big splay of how they're all feeling about the same situation. So stress inside the family can also stress out the whole family. What we want people is to be able to come together and function better, not fray each other's nerves and make it more difficult. So that's why grief is important. It can lead to impatience and intolerance. And it's important that if you see someone in a different stage, let them have their stage, unless they're doing something that's unsafe. So if people are in denial, they can do something that's unsafe. And if they're in the anger phase, they might be. So it is kind of a little bit honest to watch out for each other for that. And the other thing grief does, it hit us. And so, it's hard to do that when we're in times of social quarantine. So we've had some funerals we can't go to because of this, but we can do it virtually. And as the family at home, they can do it as well. They can actually use this time of grief to get stronger and bond a little better.
It's time now to take a look at our local weather forecast and what to expect over the next 5 days. We are looking at a 40% chance of snow flurries or rain showers tomorrow. Cloudy skies again on Friday, but getting back to those warmer temperatures. 11 degrees as our high on Friday, and then that sunshine will make a return on Saturday up to 12 degrees. But then Sunday, we're once again looking at rain showers and cloudy skies before the sun makes an appearance again on Monday. And now let's take a look to how the markets performed today. We do need to take a short break, but we have some good news related to COVID-19, if you can call it that, after the break. We'll be right back. It's National Volunteer Week, and here at Your TV, volunteers are central to our productions. With COVID-19, we've had to adapt to keep everyone safe, but we truly miss all our volunteers, and their talents are missed as well. We would like to recognize a volunteer each day, and today, it's you, Al Galloway. Al is a long-term volunteer here with us at Your TV, and we've missed him on OJHL Tonight and OJHL Rinkside. Normally, we'd be in the middle of postseason right now. Hopefully, we'll get back to it in the fall. Al, thank you so much for your years of dedicated service. We appreciate you and your contributions. And now we have some good news from the Carpenter Hospice. Let's take a look.
Director at Carpenter Hospice, coming to you from the Carpenter Hospice. This is our brand new kitchen. We're madly trying to get up and running. We're doing the last little bit of painting and touch-ups and cleaning so that we can welcome residents, families, and our program participants back to the hospice. But this is a special message to you, all of you, that belong to the Old Timers Hockey Club. You people are amazing. Scott dropped by today with an additional $12,000. You already support us tremendously in the money that we receive from you from your tournament. To get this, which I know could have been your refund, and I know times are tough. I'm sure for a lot of you this would have meant a little bit extra maybe in this trying time, but the fact that you selflessly gave to us yet again from the bottom of my heart and on behalf of all of our residents and families and those that we serve, thank you, thank you, thank you. In particularly these trying times and with everything that we've got going on, you have no idea how much this means to the hospice and to us. So please stay safe, stay well, and thank you.
The Burlington Food Bank has been keeping especially busy, and up now we have another update from the Executive Director.
Hi, this is Robin Bailey, the Executive Director of the Burlington Food Bank. Just with a couple of updates. First, we've had a number of people offer up storage space to us, and we're great to have that all put in place right now. We have had a few other people that have offered it, and we may need to take them up on it. We'll see kind of how things go from here, but for now we look like we're in good shape. So thank you so much to those who've offered that to us, especially Access Storage, who's really stepped up to the plate for us and are even taking care of some of the delivery of it, and so we appreciate that. Secondly, we've had a few people actually call in and let us know that they've been diagnosed with COVID-19 or are potential cases. And so what we do in those cases is we let our drivers know that there's the potential for the person that they're delivering to may have COVID, and then they can opt out if they don't feel comfortable delivering to them. The drivers who've had that presented to them, obviously we're willing to do it. What they do is they drop it at the door, get in their car, give a quick call, let the person know that the food's there, and then the person comes out and gets it. So there's absolutely no contact between our drivers and those who are receiving their deliveries. And that's really the way that we do it with everybody. It doesn't matter if you have COVID or not, that's how we drop your food. So thanks again to those who are letting their friends and neighbors know that if they need help to reach out to us here at the Burlington Food Bank.
The Milton Chamber of Commerce is hosting a free 30-minute webinar tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. featuring the founder and CEO of Barter Pay, who asks, wouldn't it be great to get the things you need without using money? While the webinar is free, spaces are limited. To register, please visit miltonchamber.ca, and please note that a special offer will be made to Chamber members. The Halton Hills Chamber of Commerce is offering a couple of virtual webinars as well, and those are taking place tomorrow. The first one is in the morning for those of you with kids at home. The guest speakers will each talk for about 5 minutes and give you real-life examples and ideas to help you during this time when schools are closed and kids are at home. The second one is taking place in the afternoon and focuses on protecting your business, giving examples and advice on how to pivot and adapt. To register for either of these virtual Zoom meetings for free, please visit haltonhillschamber.on.ca and click on events. We'll be back with another edition of Halton News tomorrow night. In the meantime, we do invite you to follow us on social media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at YourTVHalton. For Halton News, I'm Jessica Kading, and I thank you for watching.